Our next thread is really short and simple, very sweet. It's titled, Is My Partner Serious? And OP says, long story short, nevertheless, is it normal to be together? I have a child together, been dating almost 5 years, and on his social media, there's no sign that he's in this relationship. Now, I'm not much of a social media person, so probably I'm not the best person to comment on this, because this to me is a completely mind-boggling question. It would never occur to me to try to find out how serious someone is about being in a relationship with me through how they behave on social media. Because ultimately, I think social media is a place where you perform. And it's not that it's not real so much. Of course, a lot of people can do a lot of things on social media that are a little bit weird. But I would say that that's not going to be my primary measure for understanding or believing that someone is serious about their relationship and actually committed to it. So I find this completely strange as a question. There's not a lot of context here, so I'm going to skip to the comments where OP does give a little bit more. The first couple of people reply on the line on my side pretty much, where they're like, I don't know why you would worry about that. Like, why would you consider that to be so important? And so she says, if your partner has never posted their personal relationship online, why would it change now? Does your partner act single? I don't care too much for social media and trust my husband from the very beginning of our relationship, nor has he ever given me a reason to think that he was acting single. Thus, I didn't care if I was posted on his social media when he had it. Some people place too much value in social media these days. Exactly. Like, I kind of understand on some level this idea that if you announce your relationship on social media, then you're a little bit more committed than you would be otherwise. But it's a bit weird. It's a little bit strange if that's your primary barometer. Like, if he cannot show you through any of the rest of his behaviors or how he interacts with you, how he behaves around you, that he's serious, then even if he had you on his social media, I probably wouldn't believe that he's actually committed, right? He could be one of those people who goes through 10 different girlfriends on Facebook, as far as you know. So it's a little bit strange. OP says, he's given a reason for me to wonder. Most of his following is female-based, so I'm just wondering if my partner, not husband, I'm not married or engaged, is serious. And here I think you kind of already get the hint of where the problem is. As far as I can tell, her issue seems to be rather on the level of, we've been together for 5 years, we have a child together, he has not proposed, we are not engaged, maybe we haven't even discussed the idea of marriage, and therefore she's looking for all of these other signs and other ways to identify that he does actually care about the relationship and he is committed and he will be staying with her for the foreseeable future, whatever that might look like. And there, I would probably say that's kind of what happens when you do things a little bit out of order. Now, I know we are at this point in society now where marriage does not have a lot of meaning. I was actually also one of those people for most of my 20s where I really was like, I don't really understand what it gives us more than knowing that we are committed already. Like, we already know that we're in this for the long haul. What does marriage do additional? And I would say that the reason, or there is a certain parallel here that you can already see in terms of, if you look at social media and this idea of having someone being officially in a relationship with someone on social media and announcing that to your friends, to your family, so that everyone in your circle of people who knows you knows that you are with someone and knows who that person is. That is kind of largely the role that marriage plays. And this, I would say that was probably the original role that it played to a large extent, right? You'd bring the village together, you'd have a ceremony in front of everyone, and you would make vows to each other in front of all of those people. So it was very much a social, it fulfilled a social function in terms of letting everyone know that you're together. And now when that isn't there, and it doesn't seem like both people in the relationship are on the same side with regards to having that, then you kind of look for these other imitations of the same thing. And maybe social media is that a little bit for OP here, probably wrongfully, I would argue, because if the primary problem is that you want to get married and there's no sign that marriage is anywhere in the books or on the cards for that, then you should talk to each other about it. she says here, another person replies, this seems less about social media and more about you being mad that he won't put a ring on your finger. If it was just about social media, you wouldn't care about the status of others' relationships. And you wouldn't care if they're married, engaged, or dating, because OP tries to dismiss a couple of comments here by saying, hey, these people are already married, and therefore that has no bearing on my situation. What I want is from people who are dating someone and how they identify if the person that they're dating is serious about them or not. Unfortunately, there are a couple of people here who do actually say, hey, I think this is a red flag. So if most of his following is female-based, then that's a red flag. He wants to appear single. Some men live a double life acting single online when they have a whole family in real life. I say trust your gut, find out why, and ask him. And another person who also thinks that it's a red flag, she says, hey, have you asked him about it? OP gives a kind of a nonsensical reply about how he keeps re-downloading the Snapchat app, but she can't check his account. And then one person here says, if he's serious and has nothing to hide, you would have access. I know my partner's passwords and vice versa. We don't have social media anymore because we both found it to be a complete waste of time and energy. But when we did, we knew each other's passwords and no phone codes, laptop passwords, etc. Neither of us has any worries about the others using our devices. If he's not a completely open book with the mother of his child, then he's not the one for you. There are clear trust issues going on here, and you need to ask yourself if this is how you want to live your life before too much more time and energy is wasted. And to this, I would actually kind of say that, okay, it's a little bit difficult because there's two ways that you could look at this scenario of having access to all of your spouse's everything. On the one hand, if you need access to everything in order to trust them, you still have a fundamental trust issue. On the other hand, if they actively try to prevent you from having access to anything, then that also means that there's a trust issue. There's a certain level when you are both on the same page and you both trust each other and you both know that you're very committed and you both have no reason to ever think or doubt or believe that the other person would cheat on you, then you neither try to hide stuff, nor do you go out of your way to find stuff, right? It's just not a thought that enters either of your heads. So I would probably say that the fact that she doesn't have access is not necessarily a problem in and of itself, but if she's trying to get access, then that already proves that she doesn't trust him, which clearly she doesn't. And if he's stopping her from getting access, then that also proves that he's hiding something. So there's definitely a lot happening here under the surface that OP doesn't touch on, and unfortunately it manifests itself in this very sad question of how do I tell if my partner is serious or not if he won't put me on his social media? Because then there would be the question of, hey, if he did put you on his social media, then suddenly would the problem disappear? Would all of your trust issues and questions around his behavior and how he's acting go away? Because it seems to me like you're finding a scapegoat. That's what I would say to OP, and I'd probably say you should work on the trust in your relationship as well, because that's the fundamental problem that you have here, and maybe that's the one that's where you should focus your energy.